All right, so once again, we're live here at the Grounded 2 experience in Los Angeles, and we have more from the team, Obsidian, that worked on the game. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chris Parker. I am the game director on Grounded 2.
And hi, I'm Marcus Morgan. I'm the executive producer on Grounded 2.
Yeah, Marcus, I know we got to see each other back in summer, the Xbox Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So what is the things new that we're going to get to see in this event that was previously you guys presented at the first one? Do you remember?
What is new? Is that
the full game? Was the full game?
So we showed a good amount of stuff in the first one. I would say the biggest new thing is you'll notice at the end of our trailer that kind of launched today, there was this mysterious stranger that kind of attacks the screen at the end. And so that's a really important component of the game that I'm really excited for fans to get their hands on. And there was none of that, we didn't show that at all with the announced show.
Speaking on that, is that part of the preview too? The game, the early access preview, or this is later in the game?
That will be part of the preview very late in the early access preview, and you'll just get a taste, and there will be a lot more to dig into with regards to that.
Yeah. Now, I know the first game, you guys worked on this smaller team, surprised everyone that it became a huge hit. This time, you guys are working now with another studio, working together on working on this. So, what are the things you guys have learned working on the game, just you guys, but now working with another studio now for Grounded 2?
Yeah. I'll talk for a little bit, then I'll pass it over to Chris to mix it up. But, one of the things with Grounded is it's always been a very community-centric development cycle for how we build kind of the game together. And now that we have this great partner at Eidos, it's really an extension of that with, just a professional version of the community. One of the things that drew us to Eidos in the first place was they were already fans of Grounded. They wanted to play Grounded. They had, beyond their incredible pedigree, beyond all the awesome games, all the shared identities between us as Obsidian and Eidos, it was also that they loved the game of Grounded, and to get to work with them to help kind of realize more of the things we wanted, like buggies and a bigger park and all of the story elements that we wanted to. It's really just been great. It's been an extension of that kind of collaborative development process that it's been great to work on, and I'm glad to have them as part of the team.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add to that. I think we're very fortunate to have found them and been able to collaborate with them because, again, we do share such a pedigree. And as we started Grounded 2, we have a lot of ambitious plans, a lot of things that we wanted to do with making the park bigger, having buggies, doing stuff. And so we knew we wanted to grow the size of the team and grow the capacity of what we could actually do as we were making Grounded 2. And this was really the only good opportunity we felt that we were going to have it. And to have Eidos Montreal be such a great partner for us has been pretty amazing.
Was there anything that were like, hey, we should add this? Like the things that they came up with, you guys were like, okay, this will be perfect for this.
Lots of things, but I mean, the one example that comes straight to the top of my head is the Omni tools. So, and to be perfectly honest, at Obsidian, we were like, I don't know if this makes the most sense when they first introduced it. But they were like, we think it would be a great idea to create a tool that can kind of do the chopping and the bashing and digging and have it all be one tool and take it out of your quick bar, free up the inventory space. But we could still have it upgrade over time. So you still have to use, different upgraded levels of this for different tiers of resources. Like this will all work. And we were a little skeptical about it, but they really championed it. And we said, okay, go for it, guys. And you know what? They prototyped it for a couple of months and we were like, you know what? This actually works pretty good, like right on. And there's been a ton of things like that. They're champions for all kinds of stuff in the park. But that's one that immediately comes to mind.
I would just at the high level, lots of folks have asked about just kind of that relationship and like, well, what share of what or who's in charge of what? And really, I think the other part that's kind of special is I don't think anyone thinks about it like it's our game together and collectively. And I kind of think about that with regards to the community as well, but in particular with Eidos too, is they definitely bring different perspectives, and it's nice to have an outside perspective because you can kind of sometimes get anchored into wanting to keep things the same that worked, and it's easier to push yourself when you have kind of co-development partners that are there to kind of call out like, well, what if we change this? And then we can kind of explore and go deeper on that. It's really been a really great collaborative partnership between the two of us.
Yeah, I know the characters, it's been 2 years, so the characters are going to be more, they learn a lot from the previous game, more confident, right? What about the insects? Are they also more confident against the kids?
What a setup question. I love this. Just tee it up for you. Absolutely. Like, we wanted to progress all aspects of it. And the 2 years later, maybe the teens are maturing, and I like this, the framing. The bugs are also maturing. So with some of the creatures now, we've added the ability to block, and they have like different blocks and different special attacks. And then we also added to the teens the ability to dodge. And so it creates this bit more of depth to combat, and more of like Chris has coined this many a times, the rock, paper, scissors kind of moment, where if the bug's now blocking, you have to use a heavy attack to kind of break through. You need to time out when your perfect blocks happen. Sometimes you need to dodge because you can't block in time. It creates a lot more robust of a combat dance. And so, the bugs and the creatures are a little more dangerous than last time. And the other piece I would say is they've had a bit of a glow up. Like we have touched every single creature in the game. We've made sure that they look like nicer and more foregrounded too. So both of those things, both the way they play and the way they look, have, gone through a little bit of iteration.
Yeah.
Sorry, I stole your magic probably.
Hey, you always steal my magic. It's totally okay. It's totally okay. As long as we have the magic, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, the other thing too is, of course we've got new insects and new things in the park to actually challenge the player. And we're also going to be continuing to introduce new variants and new versions of different bug families over the course of early access as well. So we've got a lot of plans for insects. We're pretty excited about it. And hopefully the community will dig it.
Yeah, I mean, the community also gets sent some feedback like, hey, you should add this insect, right?
Absolutely.
Because there was a lot of things that really surprised me about the first one. Like, oh man, the community came up with that, and you guys added in the game. So we're going to get to see more of that, right, for this one too?
Absolutely. You know what? The community is absolutely one of the most important things, one of the most successful things I think about Grounded 1, not just in terms of a positive and excited community that love the game, but the dev team's ability to interact with them and take all that feedback and process it and figure out ways to make the game better. And that is absolutely something we're doing with Grounded 2. Super excited about it. We definitely want the community to come out like they did before, tell us what they're thinking about the game, interact with us on Discord or whatever other social they might be using. We collect all that feedback. We process all the feedback. We look at it. We measure how well we think it is or when we can maybe fit it into to our schedules. And it's only going to make the game better, right? Like that's the whole reason for it. That's why we're behind it. And we're absolutely doing that again.
If I had a nickel for every time we say community over the course of this, like people might be pretty wealthy. But to Chris's point, like that, we look at everything. But the main place, if you do want to contribute, you do want to have a conversation with us, and I strongly encourage everyone to be a part of it, is go to our Discord, Grounded the Game, and that's where we're like really, really focused on that conversation. Chris had mentioned this earlier today. The other piece of it is the Grounded community is really, really a positive community. And in gaming, sometimes, it can get a little tough in the gaming community spheres. And it's a nice place to be. So if you are kind of interested and you're new, don't be afraid to join that too. Not just jump into the game, but it enhances the experience. Maybe you'll find some friends to play. You get some question answered of like what's going on in the game. So we want to grow that and expand that and make people feel welcomed.
Yeah, I remember playing the first game, and I'm not really a builder. I'm more, craft, stuff like that, right? Combat. But I remember playing with randoms, and they were like very helpful. Like, okay, let's get the tools. So I totally agree with you. Like the community is a very different vibe than any other game that I played before. So that's very true. Yeah. Now, I know this is a preview game. So when people hear preview, early access, oh man, it's not that big. How big is it compared, like the type of content we get to see compared to like the first game?
This is always such an interesting question. So like map size wise, we'll start with that. Map size wise, what we're launching with Grounded 2 in early access and game preview, the size and square footage is about the same as the entirety of Grounded 1.0. So it's a pretty meaningful amount of map and content. I would say, it's always tough because depending on how good or bad you are at the game, it could be tough with like hours of time. But we tried to make sure that, our mantra this time around was, hey, if people showed up and they just show up for game preview or early access launch, we hope that they walk away satisfied with like what feels like a complete experience. And so that has to do with the amount of content, that has to do with the amount of story that they get, the features, and all that sort of thing. So that's our hope and that's our goal, but that's the square footage to give you kind of a take.
Well said.
Yeah. Want to add one?
Yeah, I'll just lean into some of the things you said. And there really wasn't any story at all in Grounded 1 at the initial launch and early access, and the majority of the story was actually added all the way at 1.0. And so in order to sort of complete that game experience that we wanted to have, we knew we wanted to have a pretty significant chunk of story in the first early access release that we're looking at right now. And so, we have a lot of NPCs, we've got a lot of story, we've got a ton of VO and stuff that we've put into the game. We have essentially the entire Act 1 arc in there for the story. There'll be a lot more added to this later, and there'll be more depth added into the world. And of course, as we're going through early access, we'll be seeding various storylines and stuff like that. But there's a lot more significant story in the world at the game preview launch.
What are the things that you guys have learned working on this game that, compared to like the first one, that maybe a community discovered, or maybe feedback from Eidos Montreal, like, or the team of Obsidian too? Like, or was there anything you guys have learned while working on?
Like in the midst of working on Grounded?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think there's been some very interesting balance challenges for us. I think a really important thing about survival games is that they are sort of like brutally challenging, but also rewarding at the same time, because you have to, figure out how to eat and build and craft armor and do all this stuff. And at the same time, like, combat can sometimes be really challenging, and figuring that out can be a real, then we went and added buggies into the mix. And so instead of maybe even just having one player playing by themselves or 4 cooperative players, now we have 1 player plus a buggy, or maybe 4 players plus 4 buggies. And that challenge and that balance has been a real delicate dance for us in terms of figuring out, how do we keep that fun? How do we keep it sort of brutally challenging but rewarding? That is something that we're continuing to work on. We're continuing to learn from. We're continuing to experiment on, and I think we're going to continue to be working on that. Do you have other learnings, Mike?
I mean, we're learning something every day. But I think one of the things that just as you were talking, I was thinking about, just I got enough time to think about a response of, one of the most important parts of the game are creatures, like adding new bugs, new creatures to the game. And with Grounded 1 being a much smaller team, it's really hard just to art all those creatures, right? Add animations, and so that makes it harder to just add creatures. Being able to partner with Eidos, we kind of solved a lot of that problem around having enough animators, having enough character artists, having enough of those art resources. And we were starting to really cook on making more new creatures. But then what kind of got uncovered was like, oh, now it's the survival part that we have to balance out more. And now that's our new bottleneck. So how do we work around, like, okay, well, how does that change the economy in the game? Like, what resources do you get from it? How much do you get? What does that then let you build, whether it's like weapons or armor or gear? And so what I found interesting is, like, always, and this is like stuff that feels obvious in retrospect, but like, what was a problem before based off of our team size, the new kind of like challenges emerge and exist as you solve one. And it's just an interesting, like, as I was thinking through, like, that used to be such a hard thing. And it's like, now we could pump out a bunch of different creatures, but the hard part is like, how do we make sure they feel properly integrated? And it's just a fun new problem to solve, but that's the maybe a learning for me that's top of mind right now that emerged.
Yeah, sometimes when I play solo, it gets a little bit difficult for me, like, to start crafting a lot and building. Yeah. I prefer to play with a group, right? But what about those that like to play solo? So how do you guys keep them that balance of, to make it easier for them to build, to craft, that balance, right?
Part of it, buggies should also help with that experience, right? So now, if you can put the time in to go get buggies, it'll help kind of with your survivability when you're trying to go out and find things. Red soldier ants, for example, they can carry more grass blades, so you can build a little bit more efficiently. You can traverse the world a lot faster. So our hope is that, in addition to buggies just being fun for co-op play, that adds to that experience as well. Also, we designed the game to try to scale appropriately. It doesn't quite help in terms of like building a bunch of stuff, but we do have some ideas in the future. I will like watch over there because I might control. We do have some ideas in the future for like how to improve the efficiency of getting resources and maybe using buggies to help with that. So we have some plans in the future, but I do think at a baseline, buggies will help in terms of you surviving and exploring and just being able to aggregate enough resources without like losing your backpack and having to go pick it up way across the park.
Yeah, the other really cool part about buggies that helps, particularly in single player, is that they're essentially like they're like a companion for you. It's not just as a creature that you can ride from A to B or that can carry more stuff for you. You can fight while you're mounted on them, which can, depending on who you're fighting, increase your survivability. Or, sometimes it makes more sense to hop off of them and have them fight next to you, which basically is like kind of being a companion character from a typical role-playing game, somebody that can sort of adventure with you when you're playing by yourself, which is actually super cool.
I know the first game, it was under early access almost 2 years, I believe, right? Yeah. So when is you guys are like, okay, this is the full game. I think this is the full game. Is that based on time, based on the amount of content from feedback from the community? Like, how do you guys decide when is the right time to make this as the full game?
Yeah, I mean, we always have plans, but I think the most important thing is when is that experience complete? So we have this park. We know roughly how big the park is. There's square footage that we need to add in and different biomes and different challenges that we know are going to fill out these areas that aren't done yet. But even more important than that is, we have this story arc. We know how we want the story to go. We know the story we want to tell. We know what all the characters in that story are. And until we can deliver that experience, that narrative experience that's backed up by this park and all the creatures and challenges in it, we just won't be ready to ship it yet.
Yeah, I think there's a delicate balance of, we have a plan. That plan is probably based off of what kind of Grounded One did, but something's gonna happen, right? Like we'll get some awesome community idea that we have to put in, and we'll see, and we'll kind of explore from there. But we do have a plan. We know where we want to end. But I think the beauty of early access and like why we went back to it again was when you saw where we are with Grounded One at the beginning of game preview and early access, and then where it ended at 1.0. It's a massive difference, and you don't know when that is. Like, oh, yep, we did it and we're done, but we at least have that to kind of go off of. Like, okay, we got to have that level of feeling from the start to the end to really know that we did this game justice.
No, I remember seeing like first update, it was like a lot of content. Just every time there was a new update, it was like a lot of stuff. So I can't wait to see from now all the way to.
Come on, you're putting this pressure on us. I mean, we're barely out the gate, and it's already like, what's the next update? No, but it's totally good. Yeah. We totally understand that, and that's what I kind of talked about a little bit. The accountability piece. It's helpful. It helps like raise our ability to deliver.
Okay, you guys don't have to answer this or not. It's up to you. So I remember the first game was on the original Switch, I believe. The first game.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's right.
I could see this on the Switch too, man. I could see this playing on the go. I know you guys could play it on Steam Deck and ROG Ally, right? You could play that, right? Is there any potential of having this on other devices like that?
Look,
if you're allowed to talk about it.
You know we can, but that's cool. I appreciate the question. What I would say though is like, look, we want as many people to be able to play our games as possible always. Sure. We brought Grounded One to all these different platforms. We'll see what happens in the future.
That's the perfect answer right there, man. I just want to say, man, congrats. I can't wait to play this game right now, soon, right? So
yeah.
Next
July 29th, early access game preview. Yeah. I hope a bunch of people join.
Yeah.
We're so excited for y'all. So nervous to see what y'all have to say too.
Oh my God.
But I'm so excited for y'all to join.
You guys are so nervous, man, because I feel like the game looks good. Like it seems like you guys got it got it pretty good, man. You seem very confident too at Summer Game.
I am. I'm very proud and I'm very confident. And also, you just never know. Like making games, people say it all the time. Making games is hard. But I think part of it is Grounded One is so special to so many people that there's a pressure on us to make sure we deliver that same level of experience for folks again. And I think that's really a part of it. It's just kind of this feeling of responsibility to make sure we keep doing it justice. We keep doing right by the fans. We keep doing right by what we can do as a team. And so that's why.
I'll tell you this, as a person that played the game at events, I think it still has that magic. So I think you guys are going to be fine. It's a great game.
Thank you.
Optimistic.
It's all good.
Cautiously optimistic.
It's all good. Well, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.